Well, good afternoon and welcome back to our 8th episode in our centennial year celebrating our giants of physical therapy in Kentucky. For those of you that were not able to join us for our APTA Fall Conference in October, we were able to recognize and honor some of our outstanding individuals in our profession at our award ceremony, as well as some of our previous giants in physical therapy recipients that we've recognized throughout the year. So it was an exciting virtual event. Hopefully next year we'll be able to return to a face-to-face conference next year. But moving into this episode, I'm privileged to have this year's Outstanding Physical Therapy recipient, award winner, current Kentucky delegate, current payment policy chair, and recent past president for APTA Kentucky Association, Dr. Beth Ennis. So Beth has contributed tremendously, as I just mentioned, at our state level and at a national level to our profession through service, through advocacy, through academia, research, and practice. She's a tireless soul, and she's a selfless individual who's committed a lot to building a strong physical therapy profession in Kentucky. So we're so appreciative of her time today and looking forward to hearing some of her background and insights. So without further delay, let's jump into the dialogue and discussion that will be hosted by a past fledgling award winner and respected colleague, Dr. Emily Saka.
Thanks, Charlie. We are so excited about having the opportunity to talk and celebrate Dr. Beth Ennis. It's hard for me to just call her Beth sometimes when we're in meetings. As a former student of Dr. Ennis, it's hard for me to let go of that, knowing that we've been a colleague together almost 11 years at this point, which is hard to imagine. But even still, it's been a great opportunity to continue to learn, even though I'm not a student anymore, but it feels like it sometimes.
We're always students.
Yeah. On top of just having an opportunity to work with you on many committees and everything. So I was grateful to have the opportunity to talk to you about it today. So I guess just to kind of start things off, as we all want to know, what motivated you to choose physical therapy and how has it, crafted careers?
Wow. As I thought about this, and it comes up periodically when I'm talking to students. I grew up in a medical family. Both my parents are physicians. I knew when I was 3 that I didn't want to go to med school. That was not the path I wanted to be on, but I didn't know where in healthcare I fit. And was very fortunate as a high school student to be able to be a volunteer at Walter Reed Medical Center in DC. Not the new one, the one that just closed. That was brand new when I started there as a high school freshman, which makes me feel so old. And was very, very blessed with the opportunity to work on an oncology ward, to work in the newborn unit. I eventually moved to the orthopedic floor. And when I was able to be there during summers and weekdays when I was off school, I worked in the physical therapy clinic. And so that's kind of where the spark started, was being able to work with our soldiers in that setting. And then I worked some summers with the Exceptional Family Member Program in Europe when I went home on college summers, and my family was stationed overseas. And it kind of was able to incorporate my love of kids with my love of therapy. Decided to take a gap year in between undergrad and PT school, and taught special education for a year, and realized that with the group I was working with kids that had pretty significant issues, a lot of what I was doing was PT anyway. So I needed to go back and go ahead and do the degree and have a little bit more behind what I was doing. And so that just kind of started it off. And I have been working with kids ever since. I was very fortunate to be in a pediatric position when I came out of grad school. So I've just, things fell into my way, and it was perfect timing all the time.
Well, I certainly appreciate the service that you gave as a military family member. So thank you for that. But also thank you for the contributions you've made to our state, to our nation when it comes to pediatric care. That is something that you certainly do have to have a calling for. So I appreciate that wholeheartedly. You mentioned a spark. Tell me a little bit about someone that might have been that instrumental person or that individual that motivated you in that into PT school.
There were several, and as I thought about this question, I was like, "Ooh, one." I don't know if I have one. Colonel Ruth Dutton was the chief of the PT department at Walter Reed when I was volunteering there as a high school student, and she certainly kept putting me in the way of interesting cases, interesting people, interesting opportunities, and convinced me that this was something I could do and something I wanted to do. My first year in PT school, actually, my husband was deployed, and so it was a tough year. And one of my classmates, who's gone on to be hugely impactful in adult neuro research, said, "You need to come to combined sections meeting with me. I have an extra voucher for an airplane ticket, and we have a hotel room. There'll be 12 of us. It'll be great." And so she dragged me down to Orlando at that point in February, not a bad place to be, and said, "You just need to go meet people." And so I wandered into what was then the section on pediatrics, now the Academy of Pediatric PT's business meeting, walked up to Holly Sintas, who was then the president of the section. She was the chair of the program at Thomas Jefferson, and said, "Hi, I'm a student. I want to get involved." And she certainly got me engaged.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the start. She became a mentor to me throughout the rest of my PT school career, throughout my beginnings of my pediatric career. She was a PT at NIH doing pediatric research when she left academia, and so has kind of continued to inspire directions of things that I do. And then I was very fortunate to just do an interview in this series with Susan Efkin, who has been just an advocacy mentor of mine for forever. All of the work she's done in pediatrics and with IDEA and all of those kinds of things have just been motivational and continuing to push me forward in all the directions that we've taken things recently. So it's rarely one person. It's people that life throws in your way and that are just blessings the whole time.
Absolutely. They truly are blessings. And I know I've experienced several special highlighted moments over the last decade with you. But anything that really just really stands out outside of you just volunteering as a student, just say, help me learn about this profession and how I can be successful. But what things really pushed you towards taking those larger roles within our association?
It's always been kind of that, how can I make a bigger impact? Right? When you're a new graduate and you're working with your patients, you're like, great, I'm getting my hands on, I'm impacting this patient, this family, this situation. And then you say, well, you know what? If I'm a clinical instructor, if I take students, then I can impact more because I can impact the development of these students that I'm working with, and then they'll impact 2 students and so on, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, but if I teach, then I can impact even more. And if I get the word out about legislative changes that need to happen, then I can spark that interest in other people. So it's always kind of been about how can we have a bigger impact? How can we make change? How can we continue to push for things to be better?
Yeah.
And I think, it's something I try to, and I don't tattoo it on my students' forehead, but it's close to that, right? How do we make the world a better place? And there's so many different ways we can do it in our profession. We're just fortunate.
Well, I can certainly attest to the fact that my participation in our organization was the hand-holding that you and all of the professors at Bellarmine University did for me. Certainly having that guiding hand, and even realizing that, life happens and you start to have, family and all of this life and these blessings come along. Even reaching out for a helping hand as a professional, say, what is that one thing that I can do, has certainly been a great thing to see come from you, but also just that motivation of what one thing can I do that has a domino effect across the continuum of the association and membership. But so I know I am proud to sit on the therapy committee with you for the state, so the TAC, and you've along with the payment policy committee as well. What are some of the the avenues that have contributed to you getting into the legislative pool and the advocacy pool, and what you would encourage others to do as well?
Yeah, I've again been very fortunate in the opportunities that have kind of fallen in my lap along the way. In 2013, 14, right around the time that they were doing all of the implementation for ACA, we were trying to get therapies as a benefit on Medicaid in Kentucky, because it was not unless people were dual eligible, Medicare, Medicaid. And we had people in our national association who were at the table on the federal level saying rehab is an essential benefit. And when they were able to do that, we were able to come to Medicaid in Kentucky and say, therapy is an essential benefit. If we're going to do that for our commercial side, we need to be able to do that for our Medicaid population as well. And they started a technical advisory committee for Medicaid for therapies. I was fortunate enough to sit on that from the beginning. Charlie was on that with me for a while, and then when he had to bow out, we were fortunate to be able to grab you and drag you into it too. And we've been able to really kind of advocate for that population. We've been able to work through different things with insurers in our managed care organizations, speed bumps. There's only so much that one person can do, but if you have a collective voice, you can make change happen. And again, that committee placement just was a way to let us have a big voice.
Absolutely.
And continues to do that. So every opportunity we get to do something like that, we're going to say yes, right? Because
yes,
we can
exactly
push things forward that way.
Yeah, well, I certainly know you've consistently said those things kind of fall in your lap, but luck definitely favors the prepared and the willing. So the fact that you have been an integral part of our movement forward has certainly made it a blessing for me to know you and work with you in the association. So thank you again for letting me kind of pick your brain about your career and you being one of our giants in the state of Kentucky.
Well, I appreciated it. It was an unexpected honor, and I'm so thrilled that we got to do this together.
Absolutely.
Beth, we appreciate your commitment to our association, and certainly we appreciate your mentoring and your motivation that you give to not just your students, but even those of us that have been out for quite some time. So thank you for your time today. We appreciate it. We do have a couple of additional giants to recognize until the end of this year, and then next year we are going to shift the spotlight to specialists, clinical specialists around the state of Kentucky. So if you're out there listening to this and you have a colleague that you have in mind that might fit that profile as a clinical specialist in a certain area, we would love to hear from you. You can contact me. You can contact Andrea through KPTA or any one of our membership committee members. So please reach out and let us know who we need to be recognizing as a specialist. Thank you, and we welcome you back to episode 9 next time.